everybody, welcome back to the Medical Projects YouTube channel. If you are new around here, my name is Olivia and I'm a medical student at King's College London, and here on this YouTube channel we create a bunch of different content to assist you with getting your dream spot at medical school, and I try and show you what medical school is all about so you can decide if it's right for you. So if you do like the sound of that, do make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn the notification bell on so that you can be notified every time we post, and also make sure to go and follow us on all of our social media links because we're always very happy to talk to you guys and answer any questions you might have. Now, we often get asked a bunch of different questions about what you should be doing when you get to year 12 to prepare yourself for the medical school application. Now, you actually end up applying to medical school at the beginning of year 13 in the October period, but prior to that there's lots you need to be doing to get ready for your application, and so it's really important to leave yourself plenty of time to get everything done. And so there are actually some really important things you need to be doing in year 12, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. So today I'm going to be talking about everything you can be doing in year 12 in order to prepare yourself for your medical school application and be in the best possible position. Now, the first thing I recommend you do is actually decide whether it's the right course for you. There are many different courses that are going to involve an in-depth look at science, and that's not unique to medicine. So for example, you might choose to do something like biomedical sciences, or if you're more interested in drugs and drug interactions, you might do pharmacology. If you're more interested in looking at how things work and the enzymatic reactions that are occurring, you might choose to study biochemistry instead. And all of those have elements of medicine within them, but they don't lead you to having the qualification of being a doctor. And so I think it's really wise to explore your options and see whether the course structure and what being a doctor entails and what studying medicine entails is actually right for you. A nice place to start would be by looking at the difference between medicine and biomedical sciences, and we actually have produced a video looking at just that already, so make sure you check that out, because I'm actually a previous biomedical sciences student now studying medicine, so I know a thing or two about the differences between the courses. Now, assuming you've decided medicine is the right career for you, that is really exciting, but the next thing you need to be thinking about is getting some work experience. Now, it can be quite a laborious process acquiring work experience because a lot of the time hospitals are going to reject you, people won't reply, and it's just a really long process trying to get work experience. And that's why I really recommend you start as early as possible, if not before starting year 12. Now, there will often be quite strict rules about hospital work experience, and what you can do can be quite limited if you're under 18. But having said that, there is still so much you can be doing. So for example, you might choose to volunteer in a care home, you might choose to do some charity work, you might choose to be a HCA, which is a healthcare assistant. There are so many different types of work experience you can acquire, and one that's actually really convenient is getting online work experience. But there really are so many opportunities to get stuck in, even amidst these difficult COVID times, so I definitely recommend getting involved. And one way I recommend getting work experience is try and make connections. You know, see if you've got some friends that have parents that are doctors, or see if you have any guest speakers that come into your school and reach out to them and see if they can help you. I also really recommend utilising your head of year or your careers advisor whilst you're in sixth form. Those are two really valuable points of contact that I did not have when I was applying to medicine, and so I definitely recommend asking them for some advice too, because chances are they will have supported many students before you with their own medical school applications. The next thing I recommend you start doing is having a look at whether you'll be required to sit the UCAT exam or the BMAT exam. Now, these are two very common medical school exams that different universities use, and you'll have to look at the individual university websites to find out which one they actually require. But these are entrance exams that you have to sit, and usually you have to score pretty well in order to get an interview. So you might choose to just apply to 4 UCAT universities, or you might choose to just apply to 4 BMAT universities. Of course, in theory, you're going to be much safer if you're applying to a mixture of both, because that means if you get a poorer score in the UCAT exam, you might be able to make that up with the BMAT exam. But obviously just see where you want to go, because obviously there's no point sitting the UCAT exam for a university that you have no intention of attending. One thing I want to point out about these exams is that they're only valid for the year upon entry. So if we choose the UCAT exam, for example, you will sit that in the summer between year 12 and year 13, and that score that you get will only be valid for your year of entry, and you only get one shot. So that means if you score poorly and you think, oh, I want to retake it, I took it at the start of summer, I've got time to retake it, you actually can't, unfortunately. You only get one shot at sitting the exam per application cycle. So if it doesn't go your way, you can of course sit it the following summer, but that means you're potentially delaying your entry into medical school by a year. I wouldn't recommend starting to prepare for the UCAT exam prior to the summer when you have to sit it, just because there's so much you need to be getting on top of in terms of your A-levels, and I think think the added stress of preparing for the UCAT exam that early really just isn't worth it. But it is good to just familiarise yourself with what you might be up against and, you know, what kind of format the exam is in, just so that when you get to it, it isn't a completely foreign thing to you. The next thing I recommend you do in year 12 is to get into the habit of frequently reading some medical news. And my reasoning for this is because it's really, really good to be in the know with current vaccine developments or current disease outbreaks or current topical issues in the NHS, because topics like that are very likely to come up in conversation in your interviews. And so it's good to start early just so that you get into the routine of being in the know with what is happening in the medical world, so that when you get to interviews you feel confident and you already have a wealth of knowledge. I really liked the BMJ Student, and also New Scientist is a really great subscription. I really recommend you check it out if you love science. But there are so many different ways you can get access to healthcare news. Even on the BBC website they have a dedicated health section, so definitely check that out. The next thing I recommend you do is keep a reflection of any work experience opportunities you have throughout year 12. So even if it's a day course or it's a speaker that comes to talk to you or you have a conversation with a doctor, write down what you experienced, but more importantly, write down your reflection on what you saw or heard. Your reflection is always the most important aspect of anything that you do, and that will remain true still when you write your personal statement, when you come to interview. The people that will be interviewing you and assessing your application will be most interested in what you gained from that experience. So what skills did you identify were important to be a good doctor whilst you were on your work experience? What key tidbits of information did you learn when talking to a doctor or a nurse? And show that you have a realistic insight into this career. I think year 12 is a really, really great opportunity to just dip your toes into the medical world and see what a career like this is really going to entail, and make sure you're being honest with yourself about whether it's going to be right for you by looking at the more challenging factors of the career as well. Another thing I recommend you do in year 12 is to let someone who you are close to in your school, for example your head of year or a teacher that you really like, let them know your intentions to study medicine. And my reasoning for this is because when you come to submit your medical school application, you actually have to have a supporting reference from a teacher which says, you know, this person is wanting to study medicine and they are going to be well suited to this career because blah blah blah. So it's a really good idea to inform your teachers of your decision to study medicine, because not only will they be able to support you when it comes to actually doing your application and submitting it, but they might be able to send some interesting articles to you or send some work experience opportunities your way if they know that you're wanting to study medicine. Another thing I recommend you do to prepare yourself for your medical school application is to start thinking about where you might like to study. Now, I definitely don't think this has to be concrete in your mind in year 12, but it is important to think about some of the influencing factors that might determine where you study. So these might be things like location. Do you want to be studying in a medical school in a busy city like London, or would you prefer to be in the countryside like Exeter? Do you want to study in a campus university? Do you want to study at a medical school that does dissection versus prosection? And what kind of curriculum do you want to be studying? Do you want a more traditional one? Do you want an integrated one? Or do you want a problem-based learning one? These are all things that you need to be thinking about. And again, we have a bunch of different videos to help you with this too. I will leave them all in the description box below. Finally, the last thing I recommend you do in year 12 to prepare yourself for your medical school application is to keep on top of your work and develop a really healthy study schedule. And the reason I say this is because, of course, we all know it's really important to work hard, and we all know that medicine is very, very competitive. So you want to be hitting those top marks in year 12, especially because your predictions will be based off how you've been doing throughout the year, and those predictions are what medical schools are going to see when you apply to them. But also, more importantly, medical school is very demanding. You have to study a lot, and there are so many things that you need to be getting on with at once that it's really, really useful if you start managing your time effectively right away, because then when you get to university, the transition period really is that much easier and smoother. Make sure you're undertaking some extracurriculars that you enjoy, because that will be important in your personal statement. But the even more important thing about having extracurriculars is it shows that you're able to have a healthy work social life balance, and that's something that universities love to see. So those are all of the things that I think you should be thinking about in year 12 prior to your medical school application. There are obviously a lot of different things to be thinking about, and it goes without saying that this period in your life is going to be a really busy one. It can be quite a daunting one, but also it's a really exciting one. It's an amazing time, and I really think enjoy the journey, because before you know it, you're here and it's just going by so quickly. As always, I'll leave links to the relevant videos I've mentioned in this video to help you guys out. We've produced so many, so do make sure to browse our YouTube channel and look at all of our different videos because they will really help you with your medical school application process. Leave us a comment down below if you are planning on applying to medical school or if you're entering year 12. We would love to know, and we always love interacting with you guys. And once again, do make sure you follow us on our social media links, and also make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn that notification bell on so that you can be notified when we post. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this video informative, and I'll see you in another one very soon. Bye!